Hi, I'm Kate Gaertner, and I am CEO and founder of TripleWin Advisory, which is an insight consulting firm on corporate sustainability. Today I'm introducing a blog written about renewable energy sources. And the question it answers and goes about trying to answer is whether wind and solar energies, supplemented maybe with some other renewable energy sources, are they sufficient enough to meet the global consumption demands for energy? And the quick answer is yes, but I still want you to read the blog. When we talk about the renewable energy sources in this blog, we're talking mainly about wind and solar in its various forms, but we're also talking about sort of some renewable water sources, and that would be hydroelectric, tidal, as well as geothermal. Okay, the blog is quite detailed and goes into trying to answer various questions. One of those questions is, okay, what are the technologies that we have out there? Renewable energy technologies. Okay, so it goes into that detail, and I already talked to you about what those sources are, renewable energy sources. The second is there's an estimation by some thinkers and scientists out there on what would be the expected energy needs of the world in various future scenarios. Okay, and that gets to the point of, okay, how much consumption or output, energy output, is required from these renewable energy sources. Goes into that, consumption demands. It also goes into, okay, given that we have this estimate on consumption needs for global humanity, what's the combination of renewable energy sources that are going to supply that? And the blog basically says 90% of the world's energy can be met either through wind power and various types of solar power, so that the different renewable energies coming from water, and geothermal is included in water, is only going to be making up about 10% of the global consumption needs. And then the blog goes into, well, so what are the infrastructure requirements that we need to put in place to meet these consumption levels? And the blog tries to answer some of these questions as well. So, is the technology available today? Yes, it absolutely is. There's some rare metals that are required in some of the solar paneling that might need some substitutions if we're going to try to scale renewable energy on a global basis. But there's no need to think of new technology, develop new technology to make this happen today. Do we have the infrastructure built to actually turn on the switch and have the whole world get all their energy needs from renewable? No, we don't. So we definitely need to build out the infrastructure and the capacity to make this happen. It also goes into how much financial investment is required to get us to this point. And that number is quite large. There's an estimation out there that we would, on a global basis, need to spend about $5 trillion per year to develop infrastructure and renewable energy capacity. And that is a little bit of a daunting number, given that that level of investment on an annual basis is more than 10 times the investment made globally just in the past decade or so. Okay. The blog then has some takeaways, a couple paragraphs of takeaways, which are some of the biggest challenges to making renewable energy sort of the prime source that fuels the world. One would be developing storage, energy storage. capturing wind and solar and also water, so that we can capture it and then distribute it to where it is needed. And that goes to, okay, so we not only need to think about development of storage of some of these energy sources, we need to understand how to distribute it. So we're thinking about maybe not having centralized grids, but microgrids or distributed generation and storage. And then how do we get the energy from where it's coming into to where the need is? The biggest issue that a lot of people are concerned about, and it's a big hurdle that we need to talk about and discuss, but it's not a hurdle that can't be jumped over, which is intermittency of solar and wind, right? So it's wind is not always blowing, sun is not always shining, so it's a seasonal issue. It's a night and day issue, and there's also variability that we really can't always control, and we don't know always how to predict. And then lastly, the biggest challenge is the fact that we need to consider, as a humanity in certain areas of the world, in certain developed countries, the idea of maybe we can't consume as much energy as we would like to and as we do today. So how do we think about how we utilize energy and the energy that we really require versus desire? So take a look at the blog. It is definitely comprehensive. It's more technical in nature, but again, it's a worthwhile read. Let me know your thoughts, and I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.